when it comes to making videos and stuff, one thing I like to do is play to my strengths a little bit, right? It's a good, smart thing to do. It makes you look smart when you only play to your strengths. When it comes to audio, my strengths, I think, are like studio microphones, even a bit of boom microphones, but a huge area of weakness lies with lavaliers, and I cannot lie about that. I have a decent assortment of lavalier microphones, but I don't really use them that much because I honestly have a hard time getting them to sound good. I think it's both the mic's position and also the settings that I'm using. So one of my goals right now, not right now because it's going to take a little bit, is to learn how to use these more effectively. So here's kind of a couple things that I have. Let's see. I have these two systems here. I have the original Rode Wireless Go, which is a very nice small wireless lavalier system. I also have the Deity Pocket Wireless, which is sort of the same thing, but it's from Deity. And the thing that I actually like better about this is it just comes with its own lavalier microphone, so you don't have to just use this, because I don't like the way this looks. I like being able to be more discreet with a microphone, and this comes with that. It also has a locking connector here, which makes it easier to make sure that your microphone is not going to like come out of this or get pulled out of this or anything. I'm also, speaking of Deity, right now I'm using the Deity V-Mic D4. They're new, I think it's $100. It's almost like the best of the Video Mic NTG meets like a smaller video mic put together, and this is kind of one of my first times using it, so that's what I'm using till we switch to these here. I'm gonna use this as a wireless system, and then we'll try out these different microphones to see what they sound like and how they can be positioned differently. So I have a Rode Video Mic, I think this is the Video Mic Go. No, the Rode Lavalier Go. That's what that is. Wait. I have a Sennheiser lavalier. I'm not I'm not certain which one this is, but it's the one that came out when they came out with all their video mics like a year ago. And then I've got the one that came with the Deity, and then I've also got this one, which is kind of, I think, the best one I have. This is the Rode Lavalier II. It's kind of a different looking lavalier, and it's supposed to be the highest quality one. It's also the most expensive one. So we'll see. I have a hard time positioning these, and I'm just wearing a t-shirt right now. A lot of times when I use a lavalier, I put on a collared button-up shirt so I can like have it pop out of the thing here. But we'll just use a regular t-shirt for today. This right now is the Deity V-Mic D4. So we'll listen to this before we switch to... And now this is the Deity Pocket Wireless with the microphone that comes with the Deity Pocket Wireless. So this is easy to make things sound pretty good, where I'm just holding it where it should be. But most lavaliers are omnidirectional, so they're going to pick up sound in any direction, which in theory means you can just position it anywhere and get kind of that good sound. A thing that I know is you don't want to position it too far up. So sometimes people just put it way up on their collar. And sometimes I think if it's here, it has a hard time picking things up because your voice is going out here and not under here. So from what I understand, it's typically better to attach it to like the chest area where you're just going to pick up more of like the bass from your chest, and then you're also going to be more easily able to pick up the sound from the person. I guess it could risk rubbing clothes and stuff on it. So I don't know what the difference is. I can't hear the difference right now between this and up higher, but this is the Deity one. And from what I also understand, it doesn't really matter what direction you position the microphone, if it's horizontal or even upside down or this way. In theory, that shouldn't make too much of a difference, although I can't imagine it not making any difference. Anyway, so this is the sound quality of the Deity microphone with questionable positioning due to my lack of knowledge. And now this is the Sennheiser lavalier microphone. I'm, again, not actually sure which one this is, but this is me holding it in an ideal location, I guess. And now this is with it pinned to my collar. I know a lot of people have more audio experience than me, so feel free to share like positioning tips, because they're like shockingly hard to find. And This is the Sennheiser just on my chest, positioned on my chest, talking the same way I've been talking the whole way throughout the rest of this. This is the Sennheiser lavalier microphone. And this one right here is the Rode Lavalier Go. There's super loud birds out here. It's very charming. This is the one I've been using most often because I found this to be the easiest one to use. So here it is positioned on my shirt collar, sort of just horizontally. This is the original Rode Lavalier Go. It's not like a super expensive, I think it's like an $80 one, but it's a very decent lavalier microphone. And that's why if they aren't sounding good, I know it's me and I know it's not the microphone, but I've never done a mic comparison between them, so I actually don't know what the sound difference, if there is one, between them. And here is the Lavalier Go positioned directly in the middle of my chest. So this is what that sounds like. And I don't know, I know they're all running through this Deity Pocket Wireless. I'm guessing this is affecting the sound somehow, but I don't know. They're all on a level playing field. They're all going through the same transmitter. So shouldn't be too different. This is the Rode, I think it's the Lavalier Go, the original one. I think that's what it's called. And now we'll switch over to the more premium edition. So now this is I think it's the Lavalier II, the Rode Lavalier II. This is a relatively new one. This is what is technically, on paper, the nicest lavalier microphone that I have, but I haven't used it as much because sometimes I kind of struggle with it because, like I showed you a second ago, the shape is a little different, and so I think it's still supposed to be omnidirectional, but if I turn it away, there's nothing on this side, so I feel like it is a more directional lavalier microphone. I don't know, this is it now on my shirt collar, which is probably one of the more common places that someone's just going to clip a lavalier microphone, and I just dropped the transmitter onto the ground. So, good job, Deity, for not having a delicate transmitter. And I don't know, I have a Rode mic going into a Deity thing. The world hasn't ended yet, so we'll see. And now here is the Lavalier 2 pinned to my chest facing away from me, which makes sense, but I don't know. I don't know where this should go. This has to be the right way to do it. It should be facing out that way. Because if I turn the mic around and it's facing towards me, it must be getting really muffled by my shirt and like my chest right now. Right? I don't know. This is facing towards me and this is facing away from me. So it'll be very interesting to hear what the difference is between all of these different microphones and how they sound, and I definitely need help on figuring out positioning for lavalier microphones. And now we're just back on the Deity Video Mic D4 V4, the new one that came out. So much noise in the background. The other thing that I have trouble with when it comes to lavalier microphones is the transmitters themselves, because currently, at least for another couple of hours, I don't own anything that has 32-bit float, which I've never used before, but my understanding is if you have 32-bit float audio, it means you don't have to worry about getting your levels right. You just record, and then you can adjust it to be exactly what it needs to be in editing, and it's going to sound fine. But all of these, the Deity one and the Rode one, I have to get the levels right, like, right away, and I mess that up every time. So we'll see. Yes, hello. I did a quick listen of them before going inside right now, and I think these two were my favorite, even though they all sounded great. I think that the overall audio quality, at least in my headphones, went to the Rode Lavalier 2, but I still am not 100% confident in my ability to position this correctly, so I think that the overall ease of use would be the Rode Lavalier Go, this one, because it's just a more traditional, omnidirectional, super easy to use lavalier microphone, but that's not a shortcoming of anything else, that's a shortcoming of my knowledge, and I just need to get better at using lavalier microphones. Right, buddy? Finley? Finley, what do you want to do? Are you waiting for dinner? Now, a few minutes ago, I said that I hadn't used 32-bit float audio up until a few hours from now, which was actually a lot of hours ago because late last night, this was delivered. This is one of those rare things that I think will actually change my workflow quite a bit. This is the Zoom F2, which I've only experimented with a little bit, and we're going to use right now because I think this might solve a lot of my problems with lavalier mics and wireless mics and all of that. So if you're unfamiliar with what the F2 is, this isn't like a full review or anything, but here are my iPods. Here's the F2. No, iPods. AirPods? Whatever these are. Not iPods. AirPods. It's the exact same size as those.
And what it is just an audio recorder. So it looks like a wireless unit, but it is not a wireless unit. It's just a recorder. So what that means is while you lose the versatility of having the audio go directly to the camera and be synced automatically, you gain the freedom of not having to worry about transmission at all, because you could go miles away and still get crystal clear audio since it's just a recorder. You just put it in your pocket. It even has a clip on the back. You clip it to a belt or something. But the real magic of it is that it is 32-bit float, which is something I have been scared to play with because it sounds really, really confusing. But essentially all 32-bit float audio is, as I understand it, is essentially audio with more dynamic range, meaning there are no gain controls, there is no screen to be seen on this. You just press record and that's it. And then in your editing software, you can raise the low levels and you can lower the high levels without ever having any clipping. So it's basically a set it and forget it audio solution. I also didn't expect that it was going to come with a microphone, which is super cool. The mic that it comes with seems to be actually pretty neat. It's got a really nice locking connector. It even has this really nice little metal shiny chamfered edge right there, which I think is pretty cool. I don't remember which way the lens zooms. So let's try out this, and then I also want to try it out with the Rode Lavalier II microphone. So all you do with the Zoom F2 is you connect your microphone, wait a second for it to boot up, and now it's recording. There's even a hold switch so I can put it on hold and now none of the buttons will do anything. And now I'm recording through the Zoom F2. And so this is what this microphone sounds like. This is the microphone that came with the F2. And now no matter what, there can be walls, there can be all kinds of barriers between me and the camera, and it's not going to affect the audio transmission because there's no audio being transmitted. And no matter how quiet I get, you should still be able to hear this. Or even if I get super loud, ha 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 ha, you shouldn't be able to clip the audio. It should work really, really well because of the magic of 32-bit float. So I'm gonna turn this off real quick and switch over to the Rode microphone. So this is the microphone that came with the Zoom F2. And now this is the Rode Lavalier II, which I did a lot more research on and discovered that even though it is positioned with the capsule facing the front, it is still omnidirectional, so it really shouldn't matter what distance or what direction you place the microphone. The thing with 32-bit float is I was scared to approach it because it sounds confusing to me, and then it seemed like, okay, actually this is probably pretty simple. And then of course, as I've been looking up like how to edit and how to work with 32-bit float, which if you're hearing this, clearly I figured it out, even though I'm sure there's still like extra work to be done, is then it's a bunch of people saying you don't need 32-bit float and you should just set your levels and it's fine. Anyone who's paying attention to their audio doesn't really need that. But I think that in this case, I think it's like somebody who needs to cut a piece of wood and says that a hammer is a bad tool. Like it's the wrong tool for that job, but it's the right tool for somebody who really needs to drive some nails. And in my case, yeah, of course, it would make sense to spend a lot of time getting your audio exactly right because then you don't have to deal with any of that. But as a one-person crew, where my biggest problem with wireless units is that I set the gain wrong all the time, or I set it where I think it sounds good and I test it a whole bunch, but then as I'm talking, my volume does change or my position changes and I have no way of recovering that. Now, I just press record and I'm done. And as long as this little red light is on here, everything else should be totally fine. So I'm curious not only what these microphones sound like, how this audio quality is, and the fact that this might help me to stop clipping audio because I still want to use my Sennheiser MKH50, for most of my studio stuff. I still have all of my really awesome studio mics, but there are so many times where I'm not going to be close to the camera or I can't wire up a boom microphone or something. And so then having this just in my pocket the whole time and I can be anywhere I need to be is hopefully going to be a pretty amazing thing that helps me do a bunch of stuff that I couldn't do before. But like I said at the beginning of this, I'm way out of my depth here, so knowledge is appreciated in this case. I very much need to be taught and guided and instructed on how to handle this stuff as good as possible. I'll be using this on a video that I'm going to film tomorrow, and I hope that I don't mess that up because it's going to be a really long video, and it would be awful if I finished that and realized that the audio was bad.